Now, the European Commission has presented an action plan to help make Europe's auto industry more competitive, to help it keep up with peers in China and the US. Joining us with more on this is DW's Chiponda Chimbelu. Hi, Chiponda, what can you tell us about this plan? What does it have?
Thanks for having me. Well, this action plan is about driving innovation and ensuring that the auto industry doesn't fall behind when it comes to key technologies such as artificial intelligence. For instance, the EU will provide €1 billion for joint initiatives between the auto industry and the public sector to support the development of self-driving cars in the EU. Now, Brussels also wants to encourage Europeans to buy more electric vehicles, so it will be discussing incentive systems with member states. And that is something that could lead to tax incentives for buyers of EVs across the bloc. And of course, the European Commission is extending the amount of time that car makers have to meet carbon emissions targets for their vehicles. Now, the auto industry will now get 3 years instead of just 1 year. So Brussels is, of course, trying to create a better environment for the auto industry overall.
And Chiponda, what is the magnitude of the kind of challenges that Europe's automakers face?
Well, the challenges for the EU's auto industry include high energy costs, the transition to electric vehicles, and of course, US tariffs. And we have already seen that even with the tariffs that Trump has on Canada and Mexico. Volkswagen, Stellantis, and BMW are just some of the European car makers exposed to those tariffs because vehicles and car parts travel across the border several times during production. And the prospect of steel and aluminum tariffs could also drive up materials costs for car makers. And that would, of course, only add to the woes that European car makers already face. They have already been struggling with the transition to electric vehicles. And of course, the major players, Volkswagen, Stellantis, Renault, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz have all struggled to keep up with competition from Chinese car makers in particular. Last year, 6 of the top 10 selling EV brands were Chinese players.
Okay. And Chiponda, will European car makers then be able to keep up?
It is worth asking whether this action plan is too little and, of course, too late. Now, if we look at the leading EV seller in the world, it is, of course, Chinese car maker BYD, and it is so dominant that it accounts for nearly a quarter of the electric vehicle market. And that is, of course, more than quadruple the market share of Volkswagen, which is, of course, Europe's biggest car maker. So, of course, European car makers may struggle to keep up. But policymakers in the EU will be working hard to support the industry because it does play a major role in the economy. It actually accounts for 7% of the EU's GDP and employs around 14 million people, according to the European Commission. And there are many cities and regions whose whole economies depend on the auto industry. So this isn't just about the economy, it is also political. And here in Germany, for instance, last year, Chancellor Olaf Scholz made comments about Volkswagen's cost-cutting plans, which of course included slashing jobs. And in Italy, the government has also weighed in on Stellantis' plans for its Fiat factories over there. So it's not a surprise that the EU has stepped in with this action plan for the auto industry.
Well, let's see if it makes any difference. Thanks a lot for joining us. For the moment, Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin.